Feast your eyes on this. It's time for the Clash Royale League in North America. Today, two teams on the playoff bubble battle for position. 5th-ranked Team SoloMid versus 4th-ranked Tribe Gaming.
Both teams in the tunnel chomping at the bit to get to the action. TSM, underrated, underappreciated. The homeschool hero, Vulcan, one of the best in the world, has not got the respect he deserves yet here at Clash Royale. And across from them, confident, ready to play. Tribe Gaming, a team that might be getting more respect than anyone else out here. Very, very quality players. They know how good they are, and you gotta think that they feel really good as we get into this first match. Hello and welcome to Clash Royale League. We are halfway through week 5 of the North American region. And as the teams reach the midway point, the standings become ever more important.
Absolutely. With Tribe Gaming and Team SoloMid coming up against each other today, Team SoloMid will actually be tied with Tribe in 4th place with the win. However, Tribe taking the win over Team SoloMid will be tied for 3rd place with Immortals.
Later today, we have Cloud9 facing off against Counter Logic Gaming in a big-time matchup, but right now, of course, it's all about Tribe and TSM.
Absolutely. You look at the roster for TSM here, very familiar with these players. We've got Air Surfer, we've got Firewolf, known as Fire Surfer, the 2v2 duo, and of course, Vulcan, the homeschooled hero, as you called him. I like that, Rich. And then on the other side, some of the most famous players in the world in Tribe Gaming. We got J Monty, B-Rad, who is running a Tilt Miner stream, and Oxlet and King Joao.
A team made of stars, Tribe Gaming, most of these guys pretty well known, with big growing followings on YouTube and on Twitch and all different places where they are putting their content out there. And one of those guys who's become kind of a personal and professional leader for this squad, Jay Monty, standing by right now with Christy St. John.
Thanks, guys. Jay Monty, I was talking to your coach before the match, and he said he based a lot of your guys' strategy around the last game TSM played, their loss to 100 Thieves. So tell me, what did you see watching that match?
Well, I mean, you kind of have to ask him. I'm not too informed on that, I'm going to be honest. But we saw in the 2v2 that they went for a Lava Hound variant, so that's why we went with the ban there. We saw they've been successful with that in their past matches, and so we banned that because we wanted to take that away from them. As far as our game plan, it wasn't really too much centered around them. It was more just centered around us. But that's it for the 2v2. And the 1v1, they're pretty versatile. So once again, I don't think we're going to be focusing too much on them. We see what they've done. They're really good with like cycle decks and stuff like that. But we're really just going to focus on our game today, and I think it'll work out.
So final question, have you been watching One Tree Hill before this match?
Yeah, we've moved a couple seasons ahead. We're on season 3 now, so we're plowing through the series very quickly.
I mean, One Tree Hill is your good juju, so
yeah.
There you go. Best of luck. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. Bingeable, it certainly is, so no surprises there. We've hit Season 3, but we are still in Season 1 of Clash Royale League, and plenty of matches left to be played, of course, right now. Both teams getting ready, and their coaches and managers with some words of encouragement inside the war rooms.
How you guys doing?
Good.
All right. So we played Tribe Gaming today. Remember how you guys dominated them in RPL?
Yep.
This isn't RPL. This is CRL, and they're much more prepared. They added B-Rad and King Joao, really talented players. I know you guys lost the last game against 100 Thieves, but this is our bounce back game. It's not how we start the season, it's how we finish it. And we're much more prepared right now. We have a game plan, and I know you guys are motivated to bounce back. So skill isn't a problem today. Vulcan, remember when you were looking for somebody to share the hotel room with at King's Cup too? And nobody responded, nobody cared about you, right? You went in there, you beat all those talented players, and you made a name for yourself. And you did that because you were confident in yourself and you believed in yourself. So I need you to do that here. I need you to believe in yourself. Do you believe in yourself?
I believe in myself.
All right, good. All right, Jack, I've known you since the PCADS days. You were an incredible player. You played the Mortar Bait deck really well with Goblin Barrel. You were winning tournaments and everything. You finished top 14 and top 16 on ladder out of 30 million players, dude. Like, do you not comprehend how insane that is? It's insane, man. We need that confidence here. I know it's not ladder, it's completely different. I know everything like that, but we still need that confidence.
Okay.
Let's take this match today for TSM and let's turn our season around, all right? Let's get it.
Okay, boys. We got this. New tactics for today. New couple for the 2v2. Brad and Monty bonded with One Tree Hill. So you know what to play this week. We're gonna bring this new strategy a bit. We're gonna improve the 2v2 for what we have been doing last weeks. And Ox, I know you are a really good 1v1 player. You're in your comfort zone. I trust you for the 1v1s. So let's go. 3, 2, 1, try. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, try!
Like starving animals, they have prowled inside their glass cages, staring down their prey. Gentlemen, it's dinner time. TSM and Tribe, send your 2v2 tandems to the table to fight for what's yours.
Dinner time it is. Both squads here looking to get fed with some towers they can hopefully chomp down on. It's TSM against Tribe Gaming.
Yeah, we got Fire Surfer coming out once again for TSM. These guys coming off of a sweep victory over 100 Thieves. Eddie and Gilgamesh, however, Frost for 100 Thieves taking them to the victory. On the other side of it, their opponents, J Monty and B-Rad. Coming off of a win over CLG, this duo has had pretty good success throughout. B-Rad, of course, at 4-2 in set wins.
And for our card bans, double Lava Hound, so both teams having the same idea, though. Andrew, let's take a step back here for a second. This is the first time they've broken up the combination of J Monty and Oxlet for 2v2, taking a big switch here. B-Rad moving from 1v1 and making his 2v2 debut here at CRL.
Yes, I said, I misspoke. I meant to say B-Rad has been 4-2 in 1v1 sets. Now, coming into 2v2, really surprising that they're changing it up despite their success, Rich.
Well, you know, at this stage in the season, it's a good time to start shaking things up and figuring out what you want to do as we go down the mountain from the top of the hill.
Yeah, and you see changing it up despite their success. Air Surfer and Firewolf, however, don't really have that luxury, only having a 3-man roster right now, with Vulcan doing so well in head-to-head play.
Still waiting for one more player, hoping he makes an appearance for TSM, but right now it's Firewolf and Air Surfer. Firewolf, though, still very confident despite the stumbles they've had so far.
Yeah, it looks like both of these teams looking to run some sort of golem breaker deck. We see Giant Skeleton in 2 of the players' opposing hands. We see P.E.K.K.A down. A lot of cards in here saying, I don't want to deal with a golem, but we haven't seen one yet.
Speaking with Tribe Gaming before the match, we were talking about the dominance of Golem and how Golem appears so many times, and they kind of smiled at me, gave a little wry smile going, well, maybe we have something, we like taking risks, we like doing something different, and here we go.
Well, that's the thing about 2v2 is the Golem has kind of been tried and true, as has the Lava Hound, and so today we saw the first ban of the Golem in 2v2 sets. Here in this match, we see the ban of both Lava Hounds. There's a secret to 2v2 that all these pros are trying to figure out, and they haven't put their finger on it quite yet.
Well, right now it seems like J Monty and B-Rad have figured a secret about their opponents because they have that right-hand dower down to 14-18.
Yeah, and you see here, Air Surfer's got in his hand a Graveyard. That, coupled with the P.E.K.K.A, could be a pretty crazy push if it can cross the river. And there it is.
There we go, getting close to double elixir time. The P.E.K.K.A now doing some tanking here for that Graveyard.
And those guards, a great response. And the P.E.K.K.A almost getting a hit on the tower. Tribe recognizing that, not defending.
Very interesting choice, Andrew. We've talked about it before, in 2v2 playing a Graveyard, or in general, but especially in 2v2, playing a Graveyard deck without a more traditional tank. Kind of an interesting move.
Yeah, and I think the P.E.K.K.A is a great kind of synergistic card in that sense that it does such great offense and it is tanky enough to hold a Graveyard. Whereas like the Giant Skeleton, I don't believe is that good at doing that.
So the Giant Skeletons meeting at the river. J Monty and B-Rad now just very, very close. Looks like they're going to take this first game. The Miner not getting picked up. So one more swing, that'll be it. 19 seconds left. Is there a way for TSM to get this right-hand tower down?
No, and with the guards being played and the poisons coming down, it's just not going to be enough. And again, the Miner doing so much damage throughout the match, being left alone at the end there, just chipping away at the tower. I understand that Air Surfer and Firewolf wanted to commit to an offensive push to take the tower. However, you can't leave a Miner alone.
especially against a guy like B-Rad, who is known as the minor player. His YouTube page launched a few weeks ago and already at 7,000 subscribers on the power of how good he is with this specific card.
Yeah, I mean, he's known as being the best minor control player essentially in the world. And I've watched a lot of his streams and I've learned a lot from him. So that being in play, knowing that your opponent's probably going to run that in 2v2 where it's so effective, you've got to pick that card up. It just does way too much when left undefended.
So there we go. Fire Surfer still trying to find their full synergy. Again, too young, too confident players. But again, we get into that issue of only having 3 guys on the squad right now. Maybe a little predictable. Game number 2, Tribe Gaming's J Monty and B-Rad at the top of your screen. TSM's Firewolf and Air Surfer at the bottom. The only ban card right now, the Lava Hound.
And you immediately see a double golem coming out for TSM. Last match didn't work. Maybe we'll try to switch it up.
So it's now going to be Golem with the Lumberjack, and oh no, here comes the Rocket. Bye-bye, Lumberjack.
Wow, what a great Rocket. And actually getting that Golem raged up creates less time to support troops behind it.
Might be the single, even though it's not the most troops, might be the most valuable Rocket we've seen here in 2v2, doing all those things at once, kind of unpredictably too.
Yeah, and you know, that happening so early on, that positive elixir trade, that positive damage, it's just a really good play for Tribe. They've just got to be really happy about being able to get that off.
So you see now, not only does Tribe have more elixir on the board, but more elixir in their pocket. So one Rocket changing so many things in the opening minute of play.
Wow, and that bomb, oh, I was going to say, if that baby dragon ends up killing that flying machine, that'll be tough.
And so another Golem push from the back. Firewolf and Air Surfer choosing to go more traditional, a little safer this time around. J Monty and B-Rad now 2 decks back-to-back without going to the Golem and with no Lava Hound, of course. Neither of the 2 main tanking cards we've seen here in 2v2.
And you saw the idea behind the 4 deck makeups in the very first game. It was really about countering that Golem. And now Tribe sticking with essentially the same makeup and TSM running a double Golem deck, they're probably in a much better position than TSM.
Look at the exchange that just happened there, though, Andrew. You had the Golem backed up by the Inferno Dragon, gets rocketed, Inferno Dragon back down off. TSM drops a second Inferno Dragon. Tribe responds with an Electro Wizard, but then a Fireball and a Magic Archer back and forth. That was like playing tennis right there at the river.
And you see, this is why I love 2v2 so much and why I think it is so skill-based, is that you've got to play so reactively. It's not about matchups, it's not about starting hand, it's about figuring out what your opponent has, realizing what their win condition is, and then mounting a push with you and your teammate to take advantage of it.
And the communication's so critical. I mean, you see, like, hey, they're going to take out our Inferno Dragon. Well, I have the second one to back him up. Oh, well, now they've blocked that with the E-Wiz. Well, I have the counter for that one. So Air Surfer and Firewolf, despite being in a hole right here, definitely playing with some good synergy, some good teamwork right now.
Yeah, and even with a slightly missed Rocket, they're not hitting the Inferno Dragon. They end up cleaning all of it up pretty well. And you look at Tribe once again getting in with that Miner, taking a very, very strong damage lead over Team SoloMid.
TSM, though, now playing the high Golem. You know, at this point, with the spell cards that J Monty and B-Rad have available, it might be too little too late, but a slight shift in strategy, you know, it might have been huge had it happened maybe a minute ago.
Yeah, I agree. And then you see with this double Golem coming in, there could be some sort of push mounting, but it's most likely not going to happen.
So still a lot coming down the board, but the 2 Wizards getting it in their way. But here we go, a little raged up here, so this could put them back in contention, but doing a great job of distracting that baby dragon is the Mega Man.
Yep, and switching up that Miner placement. He played it on the right side, on the outside 2 times in a row. Now moving it to the inside, not getting picked up. Really, really huge move, and that is going to be a set win for Tribe, who honestly looked like, and I've said this a couple times, they did not break a sweat, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, it's B-Rad and J Monty totally in sync there. And again, let's not discount Team SoloMid. Firewolf and Air Surfer put up some fantastic defense. And here's that big opening from this game. and it really put Firewolf and Air Surfer in a hole in the opening seconds of the match.
Yeah, and it's really not about the two of them not playing well, but you wonder if maybe they should mix up their lineup just to kind of give them a break. Maybe just keep it fresh, you know, get someone else in 1v1, get Vulcan into 2v2. You saw how effective it was moving B-Rad into 2v2 from 1v1 today, and Jay Monty and B-Rad take that first set from Team SoloMid.
Taking the top of that hill, there is just one tree and they are sitting under it, so nice work for these two. And now up next we have 1v1, and here's why it's hard to move that lineup around, because how do you take a guy like Vulcan out of 1v1? Because now you're in the situation where it's him against Oxlet. This is a fantastic matchup. I'm excited to see it.
When they started playing Clash Royale, they were just ordinary guys. They played on their couches, and of course on their toilets. I refer to it as the throne. Now, look how far they have come. Vulcan and Oxalate, it's time for a 1v1 battle under the lights.
Familiar territory for one of these players, Oxlet making his first appearance in 1v1, but it's the 7th appearance in this set for Vulcan.
Yeah, it might be the 7th appearance for Vulcan from Team SoloMid, and he's had great success being 4-2 in his 1v1 sets. However, the man standing across from him, Oxalate, you guys might recognize the name, is no stranger to competitive play on every level. Like Rich said, making his 1v1 set debut, he has been 3-3 in King of the Hill. He has got to be dying to prove himself in this 1v1 set.
Our card bans Poison and Royal Hogs, so very, very standard here so far. Royal Hogs have been making some more appearances as of late this week, but once more off the board.
Yeah, I mean, such a powerful card. We hear people talking about it all the time on Twitter. And then Poison is just so good at cleaning so many things up, and pretty standard bans at this point.
So it's the King's Cup 2 winner against the North American CCGS champion here for 1v1. Such an analytical player is Tribe's Oxalate, top of your screen. Of course, with 2 big-time sweeps on Cloud9 player C. McHugh, one of the best in the world as well. So Oxalate, no stranger to the head-to-head 1v1 stage, even though making his 1v1 set debut here for CRL.
Yeah, and these two no strangers to one another, meeting at the Crown Championship Invitational, where Oxalate took this from Vulcan, and Vulcan remembers back then being kind of an unknown.
Well, might have been an unknown before, but unknown no longer with his crazy performances here. He has been so talented. You know, again, it's one of those things, though. His teammates are definitely skilled players as well, but a lot of it has come to be on his shoulders. And his overall win rate right now, 15-8. And those 8 losses, a lot of it is just you're gonna take some L's when you're in front of so many talented players.
Yeah, you can't maintain a perfect record here at CRL, and we've seen that no one's been able to do that, so you can't expect a single individual player to never lose a match. Even the best in the world will make mistakes, will have bad matchups, or will just get outplayed from time to time.
So Oxalate showing what might be a Golem deck, most likely when you see that Night Witch and the NATO. Very, very likely that's where we're going. Vulcan here showing some spam.
Yeah, there's that Golem deck out there, that triple spell deck, and he replaced, it looks like, the Poison with Fireball with it being banned. Really, really strong deck, though. It's all about playing very conservative defense. You have cards that are very, very strong defensively, getting that Elixir advantage, and then just punishing with a Golem, Prince, Baby Drag push, Night Witch.
If you're Vulcan, though, you have to feel really good about getting such an early lead here, because now we get the double Elixir time. Being down to 508 on that right-hand tower, so critical for him.
Yeah, because one of the things about being successful with a Golem beatdown deck is that you got to know when to take damage and when to not defend, but a tower at 508 health, you have to defend 100% of the time.
So as we're in double Elixir time, the Golem played in front of the Princess Tower, finally making its debut, and here you go, Oxalate pushing opposite lane immediately.
Or Vulcan doing that.
Sorry,
yeah,
Vulcan,
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, because he sees that. Oxalate's committed so much into this single lane push. A great tornado there. However, Oxalate is going to be in a position to lose that left tower, and Vulcan knows it.
Again, Vulcan's such a smart and focused player, and here that opposite lane push doing more than its job, and there you
Great
go.
Magic
Perfect
Archer.
Magic Archer placement. Gets those first 2 hits. Now within range, so all he has to do is defend here for these last 13 seconds and get that left-hand tower down.
And I was going to say, Oxlet knows that this game is out of reach with that good game. Vulcan just did an excellent job of defending conservatively, pushing the opposite lane when he knew that that Oxlet had overcommitted, and this is what Vulcan does best. Calm, cool, collected, reactive plays.
Such a smart player. Now, the big question going into game number 2, and let's go and take a look at this replay here. It's that Tornado just creates such a weird rhythm because now you get that the Lumberjack in front of the Royal Ghost, and that charge up from that Rage spell dropping gives so much damage.
Yeah, when you drop a Tornado and it doesn't actually perform the way that you want it to, it's one of those cards, you don't get any utility out of it, it doesn't do a lot of damage, and it does cost Elixir. And you saw right there, he tried to pull him away from the tower, didn't get him far enough away, they both stayed alive, and then he had nothing to respond with.
Well, the weird way that those different characters hit each other, too, changed the order that they were going in on the tower, and then getting that Lumberjack in front. Of course, the big hits, but that Rage buffing up that Royal Ghost. Big moments in game number 1.
And Rich, those are the type of interactions that you as a pro, you can't really sit and break down. It's just kind of how the cards fall sometimes.
That's a really challenging part with a card like Tornado is they start bumping into each other, moving each other around. Now, of course, people do use interactions like that to their own effect. You know, we've seen people use a card to push a card more to the center so it can be picked up. But that one, again, you just can't predict
It's really hard to predict, exactly. And Vulcan most likely running my favorite, Log Bait Mortar deck. And then on the other side, Oxlet looks to be running some sort of a Hog Rider deck, probably, I mean, maybe Mini P.E.K.K.A in there to cut down some tanks. We'll see.
There we go. Now seeing very interesting set of cards here for Oxlet that we have
Three
seen.
Musketeers.
I think we've seen this variant before. And you gotta love seeing that the mortar get the target on the tower.
Yeah, really well played. Even just getting that one hit, not over defending the mortar. That's one of the biggest mistakes that new Siege players play, whether it's Expo or mortar, is they overcommit to defending it because they feel like once it's been placed, you gotta keep it alive. That's not always the case. It's only 4 Elixir.
Vulcan has played mortar bait before here at CRL, getting the win in a King of the Hill matchup. I don't remember if he had Miner in that deck though.
Yeah, I can't remember either. I mean, usually here when you see mortar bait, you got to think there's going to be a miner in there. And honestly, Vulcan has to be super happy with his matchup here because, like Rich and I are speculating, it's probably 3 Musketeers, and Vulcan has a cheap, quick cycle deck with Fireball.
And again, that mortar being able to be placed both offensively and defensively, making it really frustrating for that Hog Rider.
Yeah, and having that miner and all these cheap cards that you can create a counter push with and just send in a miner, even if that miner's tanking for 1 bat or 1 Spear Goblin, that's still a lot of damage. He doesn't have to use the mortar as his win condition anymore. That's why I love this deck so much.
And a frustration for a Hog Rider player, playing a fairly quick cycle deck is Oxlet, but not quite as fast as Vulcan with just a 9 Elixir quickest cycle.
Yeah, and Vulcan's going to always recognize, oh crap, he's already played 4 cards. I need to get back to my mortar ASAP, and he does it every single time. And that's just your bread and butter when you're playing mortar. Against Hog, excuse me.
So in double Elixir time, it is Vulcan out to a lead, playing smart, playing cerebral again. And now just going to keep getting that Fireball cycled on the other side as well.
Interesting Fireball there. I mean, Oxlet hasn't shown 3 Musketeers, and he might not have them, and maybe that's what Vulcan's putting down, but still.
Well, you gotta wonder though, with how much Oxlet is saving his Elixir, if you know, it feels like 3 Musketeers would be there, but we could be putting them on the wrong final card.
Could be a rocket, maybe, but that seems odd.
Down to 864 as we're in sudden death overtime. So right now, Vulcan playing very, very strong defense and getting, again, that Fireball is getting value every time. We've been taking out building cards, been taking out troops with it, so very nice work. And there we go. I love that juke with the mortar.
Yep, and so does the bench of TSM. Seeing the high mortar placement, throwing off the Fireball play, getting a shot off on the tower, really the game-changing move, and a missed Tornado, and that is going to be Vulcan's first game.
Vulcan doing a great job, not the first game, the second game as well. So now Vulcan doing fantastic work, playing, again, we can't say this enough. Vulcan might be the most underrated, under-respected, underrated player here in all of CRL North America. After taking that win at King's Cup 2, people were like, oh, well, you were with Ash, you were with Surge, of course you took it. But people are not giving this guy the respect he deserves. He understands this game at a level that so few other people do. And the only reason that TSM isn't at a higher level is because, again, they're operating with one of their limbs cut off.
Yeah, short roster, and only having 3 players is a huge disadvantage. And now Vulcan, like I said, 2 games back-to-back, running one of my favorite decks. Really, again, so calm, so collected. This kid is a machine.
For the 5th time now, TSM would be going to King of the Hill up against a very talented, in this case, Tribe Gaming roster. Of course, King of the Hill, each team nominates 3 players. Each player gets just 1 life, 1 opportunity to represent for their squad. The first team to eliminate all 3 players from the other team gets not just the set victory, but also the match victory, and a very important match victory for both squads here as we approach the midway point of the season. So, setting those rosters, setting those card bans, even setting that order, so critical. Let's look inside the war rooms.
All right, guys, we're King of the Hill. We're going to go same lineups as before. Air Surfer, Firewolf, and Vulcan, same thing. So we've been discussing a bit what we're going to run. We know their strengths. Just play your game. That's all I'm going to say. Don't worry about the pressure or anything like that. I think you guys got this. I honestly feel really confident right now, and I think you guys should too. This is just another match. I think we can beat them, so let's get it.
Okay, guys, where is this situation? We play King of the Hill how much times? How many? I'm sorry. So, this time, Royal Hawks is going to be our band. We feel comfortable playing this.
Yeah.
Really good. Joe,
Let's go, bro.
you're going first. You're going to sweep because you want that sweet interview.
Bro, Animo.
J Monty, in the case Joe, for some case fails. He's not, but okay. And Brad, you're gonna play last. Ox, you're still the only blonde in the team, I'm sorry.
Has to be done.
So, let's do try win this time?
Win, okay. Here we
Try
go.
win. 3, 2, 1, try win!
The teams have used markers. They have written names on glass. This thing cannot be undone. There's no turning back. Team SoloMid and Tribe untangle this deadlock with King of the Hill.
Hey, someone tell the king that those are dry erase markers on the board. So we'll get that glass cleaned up, don't you worry. And right now, trying to clean things up for their squads, kicking off King of the Hill, it's going to be King Joao versus Tribe, and TSM leading off with Air Surfer.
Yeah, we got Air Surfer coming in first, Firewolf second, who went 1-1 in King of the Hill in his last match, and then Vulcan, of course, the head-to-head specialist for Team SoloMid. And on the other side, you heard King Joao kicking things up, really looking to get that post-game interview. He's got his priorities set straight, followed by J Monty and, of course, B-Rad.
Our card bans, TSM taking Poison out of contention, and Tribe saying no, Royal Hogs will not happen once again. Probably seen how great specifically Vulcan is with that card.
Yeah, and we've seen specifically how good both of these cards are in CRL, in head-to-head play, and in 2v2. Getting them out of the way just really kind of ruins a lot of deck archetypes.
3 potential lives to change your future here as we move into season part 2 of our season.
Yes.
We're still in season 1, everybody. King Joao at the top, and no surprise there. Laugh, 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 laugh. Air Surfer for TSM at the bottom. You know, besides One Tree Hill, one way that they kind of blow off steam for Tribe Gaming is lots of soccer, and the consensus is that King Joao is the best soccer player in the North American region, followed by Cloud9's C. McHugh.
Oh, really? I got to see this matchup. I bet you and I could do a pretty good job of calling that.
Yeah, I've seen a game or two. So King Joao with the Rascals in the back and looking like Lava Loom potentially coming here for Air Surf.
Yep.
And really nice for him, the Lava Hound not getting taken out by that Inferno Dragon. No need to get the zap back and cycle there, and a little bit of early damage for Air Surf.
Yeah, and a really clean execution on defense by Joao there. Going for the pre-log, I understand it, probably thinking that Air Surfer was playing guards, but he did miss 2 of them.
King Joao, of course, being the Brazilian, his favorite soccer player, the star Ronaldinho, who had so many big-time finishes, big-time moments playing all across the world, and King Joao hoping to have some of those big-time moments here in this match for CRL.
I'm interested to see exactly what deck this is. I know that V-Ride was running a very similar deck to this the other day in stream, kind of a minor control deck here. With Poison being off the board, though, it's definitely not minor Poison. Obviously, maybe a Fireball.
So one of the challenges that's been facing Air Surfer so far is that people kind of thought, especially with the Expo play, kind of put him on some of his stuff. So here, showing some more deck variants and hoping that pays off against the Brazilian.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it here in CRL many, many times before. If you are known as a certain type of specialist, everyone knows that, and you basically can't run your comfort deck here because you'll probably get countered. That's the job of these strategists and coaches is if I'm playing against King Joao, I want to know what he loves to play, and I want to take it off the table.
So take a look at this now, Andrew. We're entering into double elixir time, and although Air Surfer is behind by a few hundred hit points, do you think he's feeling good since we are now in double elixir and he has this bigger beatdown style deck?
It's interesting because I actually really like King Joao's deck for this matchup, despite the Lava Hound there being, a big tanky card. He's got the Tombstone and the Inferno Dragon, Joao does, to respond. And I'm thinking that the last card for Air Surfer is probably a Balloon, in which also King Joao has an Ice Spirit, has the Rascals, and has the Fireball.
So a tough spot here, and this may be the one big important push here for Air Surfer.
Wow, and a great Fireball there coming in with another Tombstone in the back. King Joao had to have known it was coming, and really an excellent job with the second Tombstone and a hidden Ice Spirit to stop any balloon damage other than the death damage.
A big pickup from that Tombstone, but now we have a situation where they're pretty even in hit points, and you have a significant elixir lead from Air Surfer.
Yeah, but the thing here is that King Joao can continue to send that miner in the back for cheap, supporting his pushes, and then cycling that Tombstone early so he can get 2 out every single time. Now, let's see if he's actually going to be able to do it right here.
This is the big push right now. Can Air Surfer get this balloon to the tower? Is that going to be back and cycle again? It looks like it will get there, so this is a big moment.
Yep.
This is going to be it. Air Surfer taking out King Joao with the balloon, and again, he couldn't do that magic with the Tombstone twice.
Yeah, you see it so many times when you run these very, very strong control decks. You make one mistake or one misplay or even expose a weakness, and your opponent is going to hit it hard. Now, Air Surfer knows that his only response is that Tombstone, and right here, King Joao does a great job of using it twice, using the Ice Spirit and the Inferno Dragon. Everything goes perfect for King Joao. However, Air Surfer knows that, and so when he comes in on that final push, he pre-fireballs right there. You just saw it. A completely healthy balloon comes in, and King Joao cannot recreate that same transaction, and Air Surfer knows it.
We gotta wonder how much all the extra elixir spent on stopping that first one with the double Tombstone, then the Inferno Dragon, then the Goblin Gang to pick up the pups. So much spent on that defense. He might not have had elixir enough to get his cycle all the way around to do the same trick again.
Yeah, that perfect defense did come at a very high price in elixir. And like you said, he probably did come back around and cycle when that second time that balloon comes down. He was like, I got nothing for it. And you know that Air Surfer recognized.
Air Surfer getting his second King of the Hill victory. Up next, Jay Monty. Jay Monty, of course, a very talented, very exciting, very personable player here for Tribe. Has not been in King of the Hill in every single appearance, although he does have a couple of wins.
Yeah, you're looking at 3 and 2, it looks like, for Jay Monty and King of the Hill, which, as we've said many times, it's so hard to come out in King of the Hill and just dominate because you could have a bad matchup, you could have a bad starting hand. A lot of things come into play.
And again, we talked about deck variance being the important thing for TSM to focus on in King of the Hill, and now Air Surfer showing a new deck we haven't seen him run yet.
Yeah, and so you got to think Jay Monty's running a Giant, right? Because you're not running a Golem and a Miner. That seems like a little bit too much. So there's the Giant in front of the Night Witch, which makes a lot more sense. Air Surfer on the other side drops a P.E.K.K.A, feeling really good about himself.
The P.E.K.K.A nice, but does he have a response in hand for all of those minions?
And that Miner coming in, this could be huge. Not having that Fireball in play, Jay Monty recognizing, going, wow,
Yeah, Air Surfer knows he got caught out right there. And as soon as you see that, the minion horde, we have minion horde and minions. So many there in support, and it's a tough position. So the question now is, can Air Surfer mount an effective offense with 1:36 left? And it seems like he might just be letting it go.
I mean, he definitely has a great response with the P.E.K.K.A here. However, Jay Monty did a great job of baiting out that fireball early on from Air Surfer and then capitalizing it on that minion horde Night Witch Miner push.
That's an experience thing. Jay Monty, if you follow competitive Clash Royale, he has been all over the place. He is not an unfamiliar face, and there's very few things you can do he hasn't seen yet, and that's just a veteran trick.
Absolutely, and the fact that he got Air Surfer to bite on it was probably for him maybe the most exciting thing about it, because when playing against these pros, you send in a miner and 3 minions, they might ignore it, they might drop an Electro Wizard on it, they might defend incredibly conservatively, or you might bait out the spell that then in turn gives you the game.
So Air Surfer does have to play some pretty hardcore defense here on the left. If he is going to win this thing, how do you see him doing it?
I mean, he's doing a good job of creating dual lane pressure here. Now Jay Monty has to respond to the P.E.K.K.A. Giants coming down the lane, but I don't think he can. Personally, I just don't.
And the Fireball trying to make room for the P.E.K.K.A., but the Miner not there in time, so here's the thing. He might get this tower. He's not going to get it, but on the left-hand side, or on the right-hand side, his own tower now pretty much all the way down. So Jay Monty, again, just playing so smart, so experienced, not giving Air Surfer a real chance once he took that first open.
Yeah, and I would have been a little more reactive with that P.E.K.K.A. hitting the tower had I thought that it was actually going to be a huge play. It wasn't. It just brought the tower down, making this game look a lot closer than it really was in reality. But honestly, Jay Monty in the driver's seat the whole game, and Air Surfer knows it.
And that's just veteran play top to bottom, and you see Jay Monty so calm. There's no fist pumping. There's no freaking out. Just a little smirk. He's been here so many times.
He's been here so many times before, and he's got 2 more people to roll through to give Tribe another victory. However, Firewolf coming up next is going to have something to say about it. And as you see, this is that very strong early push. Jay Monty giving the thumbs up, being like, hey, man, good luck.
Now, we've seen both players for Tribe play minor decks, King Joao and Jay Monty, of course. The guy in the closer position for that squad, B-Rad, known as the minor god, the minor player. If you want to talk minor, talk to him. So you got to wonder if some of these deck selections are influenced by that player right there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to play minor, why not talk to the guy who's the best at building minor decks? Maybe he can build a great minor deck that counters what these guys love to play over on TSM.
Right now, Jay Monty looking for 2 in the row as he goes up against Firewolf. Time for the 6th game in King of the Hill for young 16-year-old Firewolf from Surrey, Canada. And we have seen a decent number of different kind of decks. We've seen him play Expo Cycle, which of course you expect from him. We've seen him play Hog Jack, Inferno Dragon, the iWiz Graveyard. So we've seen a fairly wide variety.
And last time he split his King of the Hill set going 1-1 against 100 Thieves, who actually on the shoulders of Frost have now won 2 in a row.
When here think about this, right, is Air Surfer has now taken out one of the players for Tribe Gaming. If Firewolf can do that, if all you're asking from Vulcan is to get 1 win, that's a huge moment. But right now, look at this balloon. This balloon is now getting on tower, getting 1 drop, might get a 2nd drop, and that is massive. We are not even a minute down, and that right-hand tower down to 341.
Yeah, felt like a bit of an overcommit with that giant coming in. Firewolf just kind of going all in early, and Jay Monty being like, yo, I've got all these answers, and I've got a balloon on top of it.
And the whole thing cleaned up, too, so doesn't even get a little bit of damage. I was going to say that if Firewolf could pull off the win here, putting Vulcan in a place where he only has to win 1 game in King of the Hill, very nice. But right now, it's going to be a hard, deep hole to dig out of.
Yeah, and again, I just feel like that Giant is just a little aggressive. However, being able to pick up that Hunter and Guards as quickly as he did, wow. Okay, now I am eating my own words. Great push by Firewolf, getting close to almost bringing this game back to even.
And forcing a defensive miner out as well, so has to feel pretty good about that. And Jay Monty now throwing the little like, not happy with the result of that last couple exchanges.
And also, I think he just hates the Wizard. I hate the Wizard. I don't know why. It's such a squishy card, but it does so much damage, cleans up so many of those troops. I don't like playing against it ever.
Yeah, there's been some recent online discussion, of course, with the Rumham talking about the current balance, which most players are saying they think it's one of the most balanced metas we've seen so far, but then questioning how do you contend with certain cards like the Prince. And when the Wizard came up, it was commented that it is, even though it is such a sort of a weirdly weak card, it is one of the most hated.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating to play against, especially when your opponent drops a tank in the river and then you follow up with that tank with a strong defensive counter that is easily destroyed by the Wizard behind it. That is so frustrating.
And that's one of those things where the Wizard can make such an insane fast difference. Also, you don't pick him up and he gets 1 or 2 shots off on your tower, and that's a game changer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And wow, Firewolf coming back, taking the tower, and obviously this is going to be a tower trade with that miner in, but Jay Monty not really capitalizing on the early mistakes made by Firewolf.
Kind of surprising here, we're in this situation, and now both players pretty even, and it's actually Firewolf here in sudden death overtime with the lead, but maybe this is what Jay Monty was looking for. Maybe he was going, hey, he'll overcommit, get the tie, and I'll get a balloon on the tower. Yeah,
and that was actually a really great use of the miner zap retarget from the Wizard, allowing that balloon to get 1 hit. I didn't think he was going to make it in time, and that was a pro play.
But now his left-hand tower down to 1660, but he does have plenty of elixir to defend, and that Hunter going to do a lot of damage to that Giant.
Yeah, and here's the thing about the deck building behind Jay Monty is he doesn't have a great response to tanks. The only things he has are very spell susceptible in the Hunter and the Mega Minion, and you see Firewolf kind of taking advantage of that throughout this match.
But that balloon, we talked about it before, we'll talk about it again, I'm sure. It can sneak through and change everything in a moment's notice, and now, going from having a slight lead, it's Firewolf on his back heel with a Giant in the pocket trying to make an aggressive move.
Wow, and that immediate Lumberjack drop down, Firewolf knowing that Jay Monty was going to drop a Hunter right on top of it, and this could be it right now for Jay Monty.
And there you go, Firewolf coming from behind. It looked like it was all over. Jay Monty making very smart plays, but Firewolf showing the intellect that we've known for a while he has.
Yeah, it wasn't about the misplays of Jay Monty. It was more about the heads-up play adjustment by Firewolf. Now, taking this tower loss early on is a huge blow to your confidence, and we all know at home that when that happens, sometimes you want to check out of the game. Firewolf says, no, I'm going to double down. I'm going to figure out what all your weaknesses are. I'm going to expose them and then take the game.
And like you said, the Lumberjack behind the Giant, dropping it in the pocket, that really was the key. And we saw a moment where we're going, oh, well, he's in a lot of trouble now behind on both the Princess Tower and King Tower, but a slight tactical change, and there you go. Firewolf telling me beforehand that he's considering in the future possibly a medical career, but he asks, don't say it on the show because he doesn't want his parents to know that their dreams might come true. Well, sorry, man, you play like a surgeon, and I'm going to tell you you're playing like a future doctor.
Absolutely incredible play from Firewolf, and up next for Tribe is B-Rad. Blowing up Firewolf's spot is Rich Slate.
Look, he could still choose not to be a doctor, just now his parents are going, oh, we are so excited.
You already owe him money for beating that challenge thing, right?
It'll happen, don't you worry. So Firewolf now really having done his job, putting Vulcan in a great spot, but if he can get 2 wins here, a huge boost not only to his confidence, but his team's confidence, although very frustrating to open a game with a tower activation.
Yes, absolutely, and Firewolf can't be stoked to be seeing that tornado in B-Rad's hand. However, B-Rad on the other side probably very happy about that very opening play. And with the cards in B-Rad's hand, we see it's most likely that Golem beatdown deck coupled with the Prince.
Been very popular lately. Surprising to see B-Rad not playing a miner deck, but again, you know, we've also seen him make those moments where he goes, I play miner 6 times in a row, and then now I don't.
Yep, exactly, and that's part of the strategy. And then Firewolf on the other side looks like he could be running that Hog 3 Musketeers deck, but he doesn't have a lot to defend right now. However, that Mega Minion getting on top of the Night Witch is going to be a game changer.
So the Ice Wizard slowing that Golem down to a snail's pace, and a tornado pull of his own just barely turns it.
And it looked like the Golem didn't focus on the King Tower, and I actually, at lunch today, misplayed a Tornado Golem to King Tower, and that is how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. Rewind, go back and watch the perfect placement by Firewolf. He even tricked the game.
So now we're seeing Firewolf's game plan. It's a Ice Wiz NATO Hog Rider kind of control style deck.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still thinking there could be 3 Musketeers there in the back end, but it also could just be a straight up Hog Rider Ice Wiz control.
And I've made my own attempt at making a 2.4 cycle Hog Rider deck by changing out the Fireball for Tornado and the Musketeer for an Ice Wiz. Hasn't been as successful for me, but right here, Firewolf showing a very similar archetype and doing great with it.
I'm really surprised by the Tornado that B-Rad just played there. He tried to NATO to King Tower, which is already activated, taking more hits on his left Princess Tower than necessary, instead of pulling it to the center, which is usually the play when you have the King Tower activated against a Hog Rider deck.
Well, it could have been that he retrospectively wanted to play it in the middle. Could have been he wanted to get it out of thought. And there you go. Now he plays it right to the center.
Right, and that's still where you want it. Just surprised that he didn't do that last time is all.
Down to 20 seconds, though. This is a pretty good spot for Firewolf. Just wants to keep this Golem off his tower and get that Hog Rider potentially back in cycle. And don't forget, a couple of hits, he does have that rocket.
Yeah, and a slight misplay there by B-Rad, allowing that Night Witch to get in front of his Golem, and this could, well, great NATO.
The Hog Rider just not quite getting there, so a standoff at this moment. We are in sudden death overtime, both players knowing just one mistake could change everything in the blink of an eye.
Right now, Firewolf has a chance to do something he's never done for his team before, which is clutch out and sweep King of the Hill.
He has to pick up this Baby Dragon, though, and the Ice Wizard just barely does it, so definitely wonderful placement there. B-Rad probably not happy about it, and now he's being forced to put a lot of defense here on the left-hand side.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to have to play those cards up at the river. He never wants to play his Night Witch at the river. He never wants to play his Baby Dragon in front of the Golem. These are all plays he doesn't want to make. Firewolf knows that.
Down to 476, so we are not quite yet in rocket range.
We're logging rocket range away, and now we're rocket range, and he can basically, he can't ignore the Golem, because if it gets on top of the tower...
And there you go, Firewolf with the good game, and that is a big moment for the Canadian. He is all smiles. B-Rad went up in a tough situation. Firewolf playing that thing pretty much to perfection, and Vulcan and Air Surfer so excited for their teammate. That has to feel like kind of a turning point moment for the young player.
Yeah, precision on a surgical level, if you will, Rich. Firewolf bringing it home for his boys, Vulcan and Air Surfer. Team SoloMid taking the match over a shocked Tribe Gaming.
Don't hate me, bud. You know that now, I'm glad that he won here, because if I had blown up the spot like that and he had lost, he might be upset. But right now, after that kind of play, I think he'll forgive me.
Yes, and like you said, all smiles for Team SoloMid. These guys are only the 3 amigos, the 3 musketeers. They are a team that is severely, severely underpopulated, and they are still bringing home those W's.
And there you go. There's that Golem tower, the tower activation of the Golem.
Look at that.
You really think it's not going to turn?
He goes to punch it. He's like, oh, wait, I'm supposed to push the thing behind me. And he turns around. It's a really crazy play. And right here, that Golem getting to the tower is the end of the game. However, that rocket just a little bit faster for Firewolf.
Fantastic play, and here we go. TSM now in a very good position as we move into the midway point of the season. We'll get to standings in a couple of moments, but it is all about these underrated players finally stepping up into the limelight. Vulcan, of course, here showing off at CRL, but right now his young teammate Firewolf, the hero today, standing by with Christy St. John.
Thanks, guys. Firewolf sweeping for your team. How you feeling?
I feel really good that I took the win, but I really got to give props to Vulcan and Air Surfer because they really helped me choose my decks. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't have gotten the deck advantage.
Well played. Now I have to ask, Rich said before, we weren't supposed to say this on air, but he might have let it slip that you wanted to become a doctor. Still feeling that?
Yeah, I'm just looking left and right, seeing what, I'm just keeping my options open, but I'm really looking, that's something I'm seeing right now for me in the future.
I get it. You don't want your parents to think that you'll go into some career that's maybe unprofessional.
Yeah, but it's now we're on air and they're probably watching this. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Well, the cat's out of the bag. The last thing I have to ask you, that amazing Golem NATO play at the end, tell me about that.
I really had a really strong deck advantage. I definitely countered that match. Usually the way you win that deck is if they overcommit, like with support units behind the Golem, I would usually just rocket NATO at first, then rocket it, and they don't have really a lot to offend with, and they have to deal with my counter push.
Well played. Thanks so much. Great game. Back to you.
4 words every parent loves to hear, keeping my options open. Well, no options necessary here for you, Firewolf. Getting the victory, the clutch for TSM. And right now, that 3rd win, huge for them on the leaderboards.
Yeah, as we talked about at the very top of the match, that puts them tied for 4th place with their opponents who they just beat, Tribe Gaming. Really, really great for them to be on that bubble for playoffs halfway through the season.
So we have 2 more teams remaining who have not played 7 matches yet, who are about to reach their midway point. Up next, it's number 2, Cloud9 against Counter Logic Gaming.
You want more, you get more. Our second match features 2 teams on either side of the standings. 6th ranked Counter Logic Gaming against 2nd place Cloud9.
The players for match number 2 today, ready and waiting in the tunnel. Counter Logic Gaming against Cloud9. Skills looking to turn things around after a hot start to open up. Backstab X, one of the most decorated, experienced players here, looking to find his footing in the team format. And Cloud9, they believe in themselves for a 13-1. You can see the looks on their faces. Of course, Wings, after starting kind of on the bench, coming through, becoming the rock for Cloud9. Not to mention Baron, who now really finding his place as the 2v2 specialist, turning things around. These players are ready to get out there for this matchup, the second one today in Week 5. We've already seen standout performances today. Of course, Firewolf being so fantastic on behalf of TSM. And there's no shortage of players who can do that right now. It's Counter Logic Gaming against Cloud9.
Yeah, we look at these guys in very, very interesting starts. CLG starting off 2-0 and then on a 4-game losing streak. Backstab X, Skills, Laddie, and Geo trying to bounce back. And then their opponents, another interesting start. Cloud9 starting off with a loss and then going 5-0 for 2nd place. We got Trainer Chris, CMQ, Wings, and Baron trying to really separate themselves from the rest of the pack.
Struggling in 2v2 early on was Cloud9, but they've made some really important adjustments. And, you know, it seemed like 13-1, their big claim, was kind of their head in the clouds, to use the expression in this context. But they've done a great job adjusting, and a big part of that, of course, is their coach, Eric Benimu, who is standing by with Christy St. John.
Thanks, guys. Eric, so I saw Cloud9 before the match. They seemed very relaxed, very comfortable in the space. Tell me, what is your guys' pre-battle ritual?
We don't really have a battle ritual. It's more like we thrive in competition, and this is what we love. The off days are kind of like we're just waiting to play. So once we actually get to game day, we're more relaxed and like, this is what we love to do.
And you're great at playing. I have to ask, you've gone to King of the Hill every single time. So are you going to go to King of the Hill today?
I mean, we never want to go to King of the Hill, but you know, we do it for the stream. So we want more camera time.
I got you. So just for a good match, you'll throw the first one. All right, back to you guys.
Hoping to avoid King of the Hill this time is Cloud9, and what words of inspiration might Eric have in the war rooms, and what will CLG put in store for their opponents? Let's take a look inside.
Guess I'll sit.
Go, Baron. Need my pillow again?
Sit here today, boys. All right. Well, welcome everybody.
Go, Wings.
Not much to talk about this time. We've seen from the previous games that anyone could beat everyone. So let's go out there, stay humble, stay focused. Like if we're 0-0, go out there and win. Hopefully we can knock out a nice 2-0 for the first time. But if we do go to King of the Hill, not worried. That's our house. That's what we're used to. Let's execute and let's play a good game.
We know the bands 2v2. We banned Poison, they banned NATO. We worked for this. We prepared for this. The 1v1, I'm gonna be playing versus CMC. It's gonna be Roll, Hogs, and Lava Hound, okay? I know my decks, you do. So let's go out there and wreck them, right? We got this. So G on 10.
On 10? All right, on 10.
3,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
6, 7, 8, 9,
10.
Unlock the gates, release the hounds, or the hogs, or the golems. Basically, I'm saying to release whatever you've got. Counter Logic Gaming and Cloud9, let go your 2v2ers down the tunnel.
Ready to wrap up the first half of the season is Cloud9 and Counter Logic Gaming. Baron and Wings look at the key for C9 and 2v2. Skills now making his second appearance in this set.
Yeah, and Backstab making a resurgence back into the 2v2 set with CLG and Skills here, trying to find that winning combination, as we have found here in CRL is such a difficult thing for every team. And on the other side of it, we got Wings and Baron, who maybe this is what Cloud9 is going to use going forward. They've had moderate success, and why change it up, you know?
A big shift, making big results for that squad. The card bans here, Tornado and Poison. No surprises there. Now back into these matchups, though, Wings and Baron, it really seems like they have found sort of the rhythm here that might be the key to getting them that all-important #1 spot.
Yeah, and it really seems that they have. And with CLG, the problem with them is this 2v2 set. We've seen it with Team Liquid. We've seen it with other teams. The 2v2 is so important. Let's see if Backstab and Skills can bring home the set for CLG.
Cloud9 top of your screen, CLG at the bottom. Another important note that we might be forgetting, Complexity has finally lost a match. So now with a victory here, Cloud9 could take a share of the lead in the North American region.
Yeah, they've got to just feel it nipping at the toes of #1, who is their only loss. And Cloud9 stands by the fact that if Complexity wasn't their very first match in Game 1, they would be perfect.
Well, the search for perfection, not available to any team here in North America. The search for the playoffs, still certainly a dream alive for Counter Logic Gaming, but today's an important match for them.
And you see CLG here taking a page from Complexity's book, that Colton and Razor deck that was used with the clone, with the witches, with the skeleton barrels. They're going to try to recreate that, and obviously try to recreate the same success that Complexity had with it.
So first minute down, and CLG perfect on their side, out to a nice nearly, actually a little bit over 1,000 hit point lead on the left-hand side.
And they know, and you can see them sitting and smiling and nodding at each other, they know that very first exchange went exactly how they wanted it. And they're still learning how to use this deck to its utmost capabilities, while C9, of course, is trying to realize, all right, now we've seen this before, how do we counter it with the cards in hand?
So a pretty classic battle, whether you're playing 1v1 or 2v2, Golem versus Lava Hound. And the Golem now getting its way to the tower.
Yeah, good defense by both sides. However, just a little bit better offense by Cloud9.
So Wings and Baron not going to get the full advantage of that rage drop, but still bringing it to within 200 hit points.
CLG is going to try to have those witches counter those princes of Cloud9 every single time they're played.
And the Witch doing a nice job there to extend that lead. So as we enter double elixir time, CLG Stills and Backstab in a nice spot here. They just want to play some really strong defense, and interesting use of the snowball.
Yeah, you got to think it's a cycle card to get through. Maybe they want to bring it back around so that they can snowball an Inferno Dragon away later on. But here we go, and there's that clone really doing its work in an early, oh no, a perfect log, excuse me.
And doing a great job of cleaning up that Golem push. So once again, the exchange comes out in CLG's favor. The Lightning cleaning up some of that, but they have to feel good about that.
Yeah, really great Lightning there to get rid of the two witches. However, those witches are so great at defending against tanks, giants and golems alike. Wow, great fireball there. But yeah, the giants and golems alike have such a hard time against all those skellies, especially when you have two witches down. And you see the swarm troops of CLG really cleaning up that golem. And on the other side of it, they have penetrated through CLG.
And there you go, the Lightning cleans it up. Counter Logic Gaming. Skills and Backstab feeling good. The 2v2 woes returning a bit here for Baron and Wings, but two professionals looking to turn it around in game number 2.
And there's just so many things going on. You've got to decide exactly when, as Cloud9, when do I log, when do I snowball, when do I zap, when do I Ice Spirit? It's so hard to manage all of those, and then you've got to factor in, the communication between the two of you, making sure you're not wasting elixir on spells and such. If I'm Cloud9, if I'm CLG, I'm running the same deck.
Well, the big question now in terms of variance is what will they do with the timing of that clone spell? They played it high pretty consistently this first time around, so will they maybe shift things up by waiting a little bit longer occasionally?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see here, but it seems the early clone as it's crossing the river and then the second clone as it's on the tower is the way to go.
A lot of players view clone as kind of a one-trick card, but we're seeing here, especially when doubled up, can be so devastating in 2v2.
Oh, absolutely, and we saw what it could do in 1v1 as well. Really, it's like the freeze card as well. It really works best when you surprise your opponent. However, even if your opponent knows it's coming, they still cannot defend it sometimes.
Are you talking about the graveyard freeze I played earlier where I accidentally did one early?
That's exactly what I was talking about. Everyone was watching.
So here we go, the fireball coming down, making some way for the Lava Hound, and now it's Cloud9 deciding to take to the air here in game number 2.
Yeah, and without that Lava Hound being banned, you'd think the air is it's a little bit harder to defend than the ground. There's so many ground units, especially the ones that are good at killing tanks in the meta right now. We see that as soon as the Lava Hound is not banned, it pops into a deck.
So, you know, you talk about mirror matches, and this one kind of mirroring the first, but with that reverse look, where now it's the Lava Hound deck of Cloud9's Wings and Baron giving them the early lead.
Right.
A reflection more like it.
Yeah, except for they don't have the clone spell, which was really the game-changing factor for CLG and Complexity. And you see, here it is, early as it crosses the river. Now you got to allocate a lot to defense. You wait for them to pop a couple spells, and then you drop another one if you have it. However, in single list, you don't have to do that yet.
And there you go, getting things back into range is CLG. And look at that, now not quite in the lead, but still pressuring, forcing Elixir to be spent on the defense.
And those 3 witches, one of them being cloned, the amount of skellies coming through almost seemed like it wasn't going to be handled with, but those baby dragons made quick work of it.
And as we get close to double Elixir time, it is still Cloud9 with the slight lead, and we can see what they're prepping. I think they have something very big in store coming down the pipes, and there we go.
Now with Cloud9 running a pretty standard air beatdown deck and not having like a trick up their sleeve like CLG does with that clone, you gotta wonder if that's gonna be enough.
And not using any spell to clean up those bats. Again, they not only did they not have didn't have a small spell and cycle at the moment, but you have to save that to respond to this the clone push.
Yeah, and I think CLG was honestly a little distracted by their offense right now, not playing as good a defense as they should have, letting that original, or that last miner, I should say, stay there for a lot longer than needed.
And now down to 288, they are within spell range, so Cloud9 can sit back and defend here for a minute, just make sure they don't give up one silly, aggressive clone push, and now the miner gets on tower. So that's going to be game number 2 in the books for Cloud9. We are going for a third and final game here to decide this 2v2 set.
Yeah, and Counter Logic Gaming, they're just not paying the respects that you need to the miner, doing so much damage for Cloud9 was that miner, and now Counter Logic has got to adjust accordingly. And here's that first, like, multiple clone push. It looks like they're not going to mount it or be able to take care of it, but you see those 2 baby dragons with their splash damage, even with the miner coming in, actually, as I said earlier, make quick work of it. And you see the 3 witches, definitely intimidating, but again, 2 baby dragons, no problem.
So you talked about not having the trick in the hand for Cloud9, but what they did have was a good read on their opponents, going with a lot of splash damage to clean up all those clones. Remember, clones only have 1 hit point.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, you know, I'm sitting here saying I think they should run the same deck back. And honestly, CLG, for the most part, did. I think Cloud9 recognized that they were so dominated in the first game that they probably would run it again and then countered accordingly.
Baron and Wings now looking to make this duo pay off in our third and final game.
Let's do this, bro.
Game number 3 underway. Remember, it's Tornado and Poison Band, Cloud9 at the top of your screen, Counter Logic Gaming at the bottom.
Immediately looking at the decks here, Cloud9 looking to be running the same thing back. And Counter Logic Gaming could be doing the same as well. We obviously only see the first 8 cards from each team, but looking very similar.
Looking very similar indeed, and yeah, it looks like they're going for the same plan. Although this time using that clone defensively rather than offensively.
And a really nice use of that, making that a wasted miner by C9, and also creating a decent counter push here with 3 healthy units crossing the river. But those double baby dragons are really doing a great job for Cloud9. I'd have to say they're MVP for this 2v2 set so far.
The miner does get tower. It will get cleaned up by the baby dragon, but not that quickly. It's going to be 3 swings there, and at 64 a pop, that's no joke.
And one thing I was recognizing about the hands of Counter Logic was that they haven't had much in hand to respond to the miners. This time, all they had was a witch in one hand, and in the last game, all they had was a lumberjack in the other. So I see their hesitancy to play those cards, but you've got to pick up the miner, Rich.
So you see the Snowball and the Zap are both in play for Cloud9, and those 2 cheap responses going to be pretty big against those those clone pushes, especially with the Snowball, the giant Snowball having a slightly larger attack radius than that Zap.
Yes, and it's such a cheap response to really destroy any ability the clone had.
So the gamble here for Counter Logic Gaming, very interesting, choosing to go with essentially the same script 3 times in a row.
You see almost all 4 players just spamming their fingers on that baby dragon button on both sides, waiting for the perfect moment to place it. And again, you look at the baby dragon and the work it does for Cloud9. It looks like there's an insurmountable amount of units coming through, but they're actually doing a great job at cleaning them all up.
Although lots of damage there now, down to 752 on the right-hand side.
Wow.
So, you know, it looked like Cloud9 had kind of got their number, but here we are in a significant deficit with only 30 seconds remaining in regulation time.
Yeah, it felt like Counter Logic there was just not running out of elixir, and they just kept the foot on the gas. And now they're in a position where you got C9 fighting for a tower trade a little late in the game. I should say very late in the game.
Yeah, Cloud9 content to give up that tower. And now I don't know if they're going to have enough here to get this tower, throwing more miners at the board, doing something they can. But yeah, that's just not or unlikely to happen. We've seen crazier things occur, but now with 3 seconds, it looks like that is going to be it. They were trying to get into spell cycle range. And look, they did a very good job there of making that thing come close.
Hey, they almost made us look like idiots and eat our words once again. That got a lot closer than I thought. I understand abandoning hope on your Princess Tower, and here's one of those, that push that just kind of seemed to never end. And I think really what the key holder is that miner comes in the back and it's doing a lot of damage, and that Lava Hound stays healthy for much longer than they anticipate. And this baby dragon coupled with those lava pups, again, not enough coming in.
Yeah, kind of a deceptive push there. And here we go. We know the right tower's going out. Let's look at the left-hand side. And, it looks like it's insurmountable. 17 seconds. There's plenty of cards on defense being played. The miner comes through. We don't see the rest of that replay, unfortunately. Right. But, it was a really, really big moment where it gets so close. I think it ended at about 740 or 542 or 545.
Yeah, the point there that you're making there is that CLG got a little too comfortable and I think cut it a little too close. We've seen so many times those games turn like that, and that was not a position in which CLG wanted to give up their set.
And they were up against Lightning, so at 432, they were within maybe 120, maybe 130 hit points of tying that thing up, sending us to a sudden death overtime. So Cloud9 not getting the 2v2 victory, but of course they have some of the best players in the world, and one of them is up next here in 1v1.
Did someone turn up the heat? I mean, is it getting hot in here? Or perhaps it is just the fire burning deep in the bellies of our 1v1 combatants before battle. C McHugh and Geo unleash the heat in the arena.
1v1 on its way, the Italian Geo representing for CLG, and C McHugh coming to the podium for Cloud9.
Now, this is the first time we've seen Geo in the 1v1 set here in CRL. He's played a game in King of the Hill and lost it. However, I remember watching Geo back when he was on Backstab's stream, and he is a very good head-to-head player. And of course, C McHugh, we all know him. We all know how good he is. However, not finding a lot of success in 1v1 sets, being 1 and 2. He is 8 and 4 in King of the Hill. Pressure is not an issue for him.
Lava Hound and Royal Hogs, the bans. So, some pretty common deck archetypes now removed from contention. You know, before the match, I was talking to Cloud9, and I mentioned that someone said that C McHugh was the second best soccer player in North America, and immediately they all yelled, "No, King Zhao is not that good."
So apparently they all know what it's about. Soccer's one thing, Clash is another, and here we go with this crazy battle.
Cloud9 C McHugh at the top of your screen, Geo for CLG at the bottom. One more time, it's Lava Hound and Royal Hogs out for all potential 3 games in this set.
Yeah, and despite him not having any 1v1 sets here at CRL, Geo did take 4th place at the CR Nations Cup.
The Italian moved to the States at 14 years old, living here for a while now, becoming very comfortable and a big part of his team.
Absolutely, and as I said before, Counter Logic Gaming still trying to figure out their perfect recipe, moving Geo into 1v1 and Backstab back into 2v2. Ended up working out today, so far.
So far, yeah, out to a good start, so the pressure not on Geo in this moment. Of course, you gotta feel good not having as much pressure when you're up against a guy like C McHugh.
Yeah, we've seen C McHugh here just be unflappable no matter what situation he's put in, whether it's King of the Hill, reverse sweep where he's got to win 1 or win 3. He's shown us he can basically do anything.
Well, you know, you look at that 1v1 record and you see 1 set win and 2 set losses, but those 2 set losses are to B-Rad, the minor god, and Vulcan, who we saw earlier and who I consider to be easily one of the top 3 guys to watch at CRL.
Yeah, I mean, you saw him with that incredible heads-up play earlier today. Staying calm, staying cool is one of his greatest things. And we found here at Clash Royale, it is the most important thing in these 1v1 sets is just to keep a level head. Don't overcommit in spells. Don't rush towards the finish line. Slow and steady wins the race.
So C McHugh running minor P.E.K.K.A. Poison. I don't think we've seen him run that yet here at Clash Royale League. And the only 1v1 or head-to-head match we've seen Geo run was a giant minor poison deck with which he lost. So looking like a little bit of a shift here for Geo in our 1v1 opener.
Yeah, it could be Graveyard that he's running, could just be Control, but you'd think he'd have a stronger win condition that he would have played already if it's not Graveyard.
Well, we are in double elixir time, so the moment to play that Graveyard, if it is the case, rapidly approaching, and with the Tornado, do you think that kind of solidifies the deal?
It could still be, or he could just be running a straight Control deck, but without having that minor to get straight to the tower, you figure he has to have Graveyard, because he honestly doesn't really have a real win condition at this moment.
Well, a minor coming out for C McHugh. Again, that minor P.E.K.K.A. Poison. Very common, very powerful. Lots of ways to stop people on your side.
I was going to say, this is where we're going to see the very first Graveyard.
But maybe part of why we saw that Graveyard take so long, not just being the fact that you were not in double elixir time yet, but knowing his opponent has poison and looking to figure out how am I going to outcycle that.
Yeah, and honestly at this point, I don't know how he's going to outcycle it or win this match. C McHugh has so many responses to Geo's deck. That P.E.K.K.A. is going to destroy his Knight every single time if he even needs to use it. And then when he does get a P.E.K.K.A. down, it demands such a response from Geo that he's just not really in a place to use Graveyard that often.
And it's a faster cycle for C McHugh as well, only at 9 elixir. So Geo not going to get around the horn as quickly as his opponent.
And as you can see right here, he's got a good push coming. And it's a good place to maybe use Graveyard, but he's got to respond to this P.E.K.K.A. And with that Graveyard coming down, he's just going to poison it. And that P.E.K.K.A. is going to make quick work of the Knight and Ice Wiz.
Well, here comes the question now for him, though, is that he will get probably a couple of hits on that tower, even with the poison down. So how good of defense can Geo play here? And can he hold off these attacks and still get that damage on the tower?
I mean, with that Bandit on a mission of her own, dashing straight to that tower, it just seems basically impossible. But we've seen here at Clash that nothing is impossible.
Until the Bandit hit, it did feel to me like he had a pretty good opportunity. And now, but here becomes the other thing is that, you know, if he can pick up those miners over and over again on that right-hand side and force that poison defensively, there might be a window here.
Absolutely. I mean, there's always a possibility, and the way that you broke it down, Rich, I think is his only chance.
So the battle taking place at the bridge, the 2 tombstones behind that tower.
And I was just going to say, CMQ really wants to poison that, and now's the chance for Geo to shine.
This is that big opening. Does he have something? But there's no tank coming down here to defend for that.
Yeah, you think he might have gotten a little overzealous there. I mean, I recognize that CMQ sees that he's within log and poison range, but I think he should have still thrown in a tank. Geo should have before that graveyard, whereas right now it's going to be good game.
And a little late here on the tower activation. And there you go, CMQ grabbing the first win and putting his team one step closer to yet another King of the Hill appearance.
Yeah, probably just a very frustrating game for Geo, not able to play his win condition, not really able to activate the King Tower till the very end, and as you see, just too much coming in from CMQ. The Poison would have done it, the Bandit does it faster, and that is a Game 1 win for Cloud9 in this 1v1 set.
And there you go, you see the cycle difference, and I really feel like that might have been a huge part of what made things difficult for Geo in this case.
Yeah, I mean, having such a quick cycle and then also having that Poison and P.E.K.K.A., it was just one of those things we talk about so much. Matchup can be so powerful in 1v1, and that's why some people enjoy 2v2 more, is matchup and starting hand aren't as imperative.
Well, they can be critical here. That's why, again, the analysis is such an important part of these teams, and who has it better going into game number 2. You know, Andrew, you mentioned matchup, and let's talk about that for a second, because for a player who's playing on their own, whether it's ladder or challenge play, matchup can be really challenging and frustrating because you're playing against players you don't know, you don't see. But here at CRL, there's an important other piece of that puzzle, and that's the fact that you know you have an idea who you're going against. You know their deck pool, you have analysts. So in CRL, it seems to me that matchup isn't just a sort of a random thing, it's an important part of the strategy when preparing for your games.
110%, Rich. We've seen the most successful teams here at Clash Royale know what their opponent is going to run based off of the bans that they have implemented, and then run a counter deck that has just destroyed them. We've even seen, you know, Frost admitting that the only reason he won against Guanic was that he just straight up ran a counter deck, even though he was outplayed.
But he also knew to run that deck.
Absolutely.
It was an active choice. And again, so you know, you can also talk about matchup this way. You know, some people go, well, matchup can make it unfair for me. Well, then the question comes, why do these pros go deal with bad matchups and still get 12-win grand challenges over and over again? It reminds me of the movie Rounders with Matt Damon and Ed Norton talking about poker. Well, poker's a random game. Well, then tell me why it's the same 8 people at the final table of the World Series every year.
I couldn't agree more. I love the reference to Rounders, and it's true. You watch, you know, you ran that deck for a long time, and then you saw what a pro did with your Expo deck, winning grand challenges back-to-back. It's about the play style, and as you can see right here, these guys are in a pretty much deadlock. It's going to come down to play over the next couple minutes.
So game number 2, it is CMQ with 1 in hand, feeling pretty good. And it looks like we're seeing a very similar situation. This might be the exact run back of our first game.
Yeah, I believe it is exactly that. And Geo must have seen something that he thought he could take advantage of, or maybe he just really didn't expect CMQ to run the same deck, because honestly, CMQ with the same deck has matchup again. That's one of the things we talked about the most last game. The fact that he has the P.E.K.K.A. and the Poison, really tough.
Well, I feel like one thing that we've seen here at CRL is that a winner will often run the same deck back. So it makes that choice from the person who's got 1 game down a very interesting call. Like, you kind of have to believe there might be a 60-70% chance they'll do that same thing again, and you better hope that you saw an opening that you can take advantage of.
Yeah, it's that weird reverse psychology that's now come into play, seeing so many people run the same decks, whether they've won or lost. It could just be a comfort deck thing, and they misplayed their first game. This, again, is working so well for Geo. Getting that P.E.K.K.A. to be the response for the graveyard now allows his Baby Dragon to splash damage on the Princess Tower and the P.E.K.K.A.
And here he's also playing the graveyard much faster. We've seen now a couple of those get down as opposed to waiting till the very end of regulation time. And now, again, with that poison as a response, he can still get a little bit of damage each time.
Yeah, and you know, one of my favorite pros out there, Sir Tag, talks about when you recognize a really strong counter to your opponent's win condition, cycling it early on so you can get back to that same card in one push is really, really detrimental to your opponent's gameplay.
So look at that, the poison does pick up the graveyard, but still 2 skeleton hits, and this is what Gio wants to do, play perfect defense and keep getting that thing down.
Absolutely. If he's just ticking away at that tower, a couple hundred damage at a time, he's very, very happy with it.
So we are 40 seconds into sudden death overtime, and despite a play that some people might look at and go, hey man, this was kind of a strange call, Gio so far doing a fantastic job of making minor adjustments to the exact same situation.
Yeah, and CMQ is using his poison a little more sparingly and a little more on offense. And you gotta wonder, with the success that he had first game, is that the right decision to make here in game 2?
Yeah, switching up a little bit how he chooses to play his offense rather than kind of put it all on that minor, doing a lot more poison work. And now here we go, down to 573. So CMQ in a tough position here as we get deeper into our sudden death overtime.
Yeah, and you got to think this is going to be Gio's game. So then the question arises in game 3, do we just see 3 back-to-back-to-back runs of the same decks? Because, I mean, after a win and a loss each, would you really run the same thing again?
But the minor does sneak through, so Gio does have to be careful because, again, his game plan does rely on getting just a couple of hits every time. We could go 2 more cycles and suddenly find this in a very different situation.
I really don't understand the lack of use of poison on defense when it worked so well for CMQ.
And there you go, that's the end. The baby dragon poison. Yeah, so you were saying, Andrew, about the lack of poison on defense.
Yeah, it's just kind of surprising. You know, you see how effective it is in game 1. Gio doesn't really have any responses. You run back the exact same 2 decks, and you'd think the success wouldn't change if you don't change the strategy here. Now, Gio did a great job of changing up his strategy and having the baby dragon be his main tank for the graveyard, focusing on that splash damage.
So there we go, taking game number 2. Gio making some very important adjustments. CMQ, and now you got to wonder if his adjustments were in reaction to the change in pace coming from Gio.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he didn't just be like, oh, that worked so well game 1, I'm not going to do it in game 2. He definitely saw something that you and I didn't to keep him holding on to that poison. However, not seeing what it was on our end, it just kind of seemed like a misplay.
So now a situation that did look like Cloud9 going into King of the Hill becomes much more precarious. Gio 1 win away from closing this thing out for CLG and getting a very important win in game number 7 of the season. The good luck from CMQ and from Gio, so some nice manners here, some GM from both players.
Yeah, both of them realizing how big this moment is, and they being professionals, just like, hey man, good luck. I hope I win.
And I think we are not going to see the same thing happen one more time. Both players showing new looks in game number 3.
Yeah, you probably Gio running that giant minor poison control deck with the Hunter in there. And then CMQ, maybe Expo? No.
We have seen CMQ do well with the Expo. We don't know if we'll run it again here against a Giant. That would be a frustrating matchup, of course. But Gio, we've seen
there
him.
It is.
Oh, there it is. So, CMQ has already shown once he can do this thing great, and he might show us again. And look, I will not complain about seeing an Expo win.
No, and Gio has actually got a pretty good matchup here. As you said, the Giant is a really tough counter to the Expo, but also being able to poison the Princess Tower and the Expo at the same time, and then you can send in the Miner right before the Expo retargets onto something else and focus on your Miner on their Princess Tower.
But you do have that Inferno Tower to deal with the Giant, so that will certainly be helpful. And again, we're talking about cycles. Look at how fast CMQ can get back to that Expo. So just between the Log, the Ice Golem, and the Ice Spirit alone, that's just 5. Add the Mega Minion or Archers in, and that makes an 8-point cycle. Very, very quick to get around.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big idea behind most Siege decks, is to be able to cycle back around to your win condition, which is either your Expo or your Mortar, and get it back down before your opponent's greatest counter is in hand, which in this case is, of course, the Giant. Ooh, nice predictive Miner by Gio, and the Zap to reset. This Giant could maybe get a couple hits. Oh, but the Ice Spirit, really well played.
CMQ taking a card that in a deck structure a lot of people have claimed is dead competitively because the Expo it's not so much the Expo got sped up a while back, but then other cards that make it difficult for an Expo got buffed up as well. And some people have said the Expo doesn't have the perfect place in the meta, but he knows what to do with it.
Yeah, we've seen CMQ probably be one of the most successful people here in CRL running the Expo deck. But yeah, it's just really not seen as much as it used to be, Rich. With the nerf of Tesla and the buff of Cannon Cart and Prince, it's just a lot easier to counter.
And there we go, changing lanes with the Expo this time, but the Giant picking it up, and that is a very frustrating moment, especially if the Zap comes down to reset that Inferno Tower. Does not get down in time, though.
Yeah, I think Gio realized that it wasn't going to be worth it. However, I am surprised by the change-up in placement with the Expo going to a different tower.
Yeah, I wonder what the reasoning for CMQ is behind making that lane switch. And maybe what it is he just really wants to force that Giant away from that tower.
Absolutely. I mean, what it is he doesn't want to push into the same lane as his weak tower, knowing that Gio can just keep dropping the Giant going towards his Expo, and then if it survives, it's going towards his weaker tower. So I understand it. It's just got to be really frustrating to switch when you've got 1,200 damage remaining on one tower and the other one's completely healthy.
And despite having a much heavier cycle here, all the way at 10 Elixir compared to 8, Gio doing a good job of getting those cards down over and over again, and now putting significant pressure on both lanes.
So we come to this position a lot when we're playing against Expo decks, and that is once you've realized that you have all the counters in hand and you are not in an Elixir deficit, you can kind of create and wow, a missed poison there. I was going to say replicate the same transactions and take the game, but it's plays like that that keep your opponent in it.
And this is going to be big now because that Expo can be available for the next cycle to play defense.
Yes, and so now you know CMQ is going to try to double down on the Expos, one with defense, cleaning up that Giant twice as fast, and try to create a counter push here.
At this point, down at 834, Andrew, do you think he has to go back to that right-hand lane?
I mean,
he doesn't.
He doesn't. He's not going to, but you'd think so.
Because again, he deals with all this stuff on the left-hand side, but that miner can keep sneaking through over to the right.
And it's always going to. You know that's exactly what Gio's planning. He's just got to change up the miner placement 3 more times, send in the logs when they're available, poison out when he can afford the elixir, and this is going to be a match for CLG unless CMQ can do something very, very quickly.
Well, again, now with only a minute left, remember, we are still in our regular sets, so is this a point where CMQ now starts thinking about playing for a draw rather than a win?
Oh, 100%. If he can actually get a draw out of this, he will have got away with one, and honestly, Gio will have let the match slip between his fingers.
Yeah, all this troop play being happening on the left-hand side, you think Gio has to have room to start making spell plays in the right-hand lane.
Yeah, and exactly like you said, Rich, I think CMQ has recognized that he can play for the draw here and not really worry about this game and kind of feel like he got away with one.
And now he moves that Inferno Tower more to the center, but not picking up that miner. And that might be the difference here, down to 494. So in very dangerous range with 3 spells in Gio's deck.
Yes. 30 seconds, though, is not going to be enough time to get 2 poisons down. So he's got to get the miner in. He's got to not get up. Yep, this is going to be a draw, Rich.
Very possible draw. Of course, Gio could just spell cycle really hard here and try to get this thing. You know, those are only 8 elixir total. So the question is, can he get enough stuff down, poison down? Will the Zap and Law get in quickly enough? The Zap tries to help. I don't think we're going to see this thing turn that way. CMQ may have just did. Yes, he did. He pulled out a brilliant draw.
Oh, absolutely. And the bench of Cloud9 sighs a breath of relief, knowing that that was not CMQ's match to even draw. Definitely getting away with one. We looked at the missed poison here. Now, if the poison missed the tower and went on top of the Expo and that ended up being the loss, then we could have said, wow, Gio really made a mistake. But here, it was just CMQ understanding his opponent's deck, adjusting accordingly throughout the match, recognizing, as you said, the draw was coming and playing for it. Now, I guarantee he's going to switch it up.
What a fascinating match. That's one a lot of you want to watch back again, especially those of you who are not just Expo players, but Expo players looking to play it in your Grand Challenge or Classic Challenge plays. Because again, in a challenge, you'd rather take a draw than one of those 3 losses.
I mean, that's one of the worst situations to be in, and you go back and you watch what CMQ did there, and he really had the best outcome for that situation.
Game number 4 up right now.
Go Gio.
So this does change things drastically, though, Andrew, because now that we're in a Game 4 situation, there will not be a second draw. we have now gone to lowest tower.
Yeah, and that's one of those things you got to be aware of throughout your entire match. If you recognize that you're starting to take a massive damage deficit, you've got to even it up. Even if not to win or take the tower, you got to even it up.
So Mega Minions for both. And we are seeing the Miner come out again here for Geo.
Yeah, Geo could be running a very similar style deck, and CMQ looks like he's going to go with the Graveyard.
So CMQ showing a lot of deck variants across these 4 games.
And
3 different decks, Geo showing 2.
Yeah, and I believe in the last game, Geo had Poison in his hand. He 100% did because he missed that Expo but got the tower. You'd think running the deck so similar, he's probably got it again, and that is a great counter for Graveyard, and there's the Poison.
Yeah, it was Poison, Zap, Log, so he did have the Miner Giant 3 spell.
So here's my thing, Rich, is we both recognize, and I'm sure Geo knows he's probably playing Graveyard, and he used his Poison early there. It just seems like a bit of a misplay early on when you could recognize it. You could mitigate all the damage right here if he had his Poison, but he still does a good job with the guards.
Well, but he's forced to spend a lot to not do that great of defense. Forced to spend 5 Elixir and still take about 500, almost 600 damage on his tower.
And so you think it's probably better to just let the Giant walk towards the Tombstone and then maybe die, saving your Poison for defense.
So a well played from Geo. He knows how those exchanges went. And as we get into double Elixir time, this is where things start to get fascinating with 2 decks that both shine at this period.
Yes, and also now we got to recognize, is Geo ever going to make the mistake of using his Poison not on defense? Or is CMQ going to have to figure out another way to win this game?
And still a couple of hits coming through for those Skeletons. Maybe more than you would have expected with that Poison being there.
Yeah, and with this push here coming down, CMQ's going to have to play some good defense. That tornado back into the Poison is so effective. I really, really love the synergy between the Ice Wizard and the Tornado.
Action very close here. The left-hand side has been almost non-existent in this battle. And the 2 towers on the right-hand side pretty close together, although now CMQ starting to pull away.
Yeah, interesting position for Geo to be in here. He recognizes that he has to save the Poison. However, he does want to keep pushing into the same lane, which allows CMQ to continue to poison his weaker tower.
And the Tornado activating the King Tower late in the game, but with so much health still on the Princess Tower. Still a fantastic activation by the Cloud9 representative.
Yeah, definitely still very relevant in this game. And now he's going to go no defense, hard in the paint, Geo, to try to change this up.
He did throw down the guards, so they are trying to clean up a lot of those Skeletons, and ended up doing a good job without the Poison support this time.
And CMQ doing a great job of recognizing where the best position for the Miner would be, and he meets it with an Ice Wizard, mitigating almost all the damage. Incredible play by CMQ right there.
So both players doing pretty well on defense. The Poison not supporting the Graveyard push, possibly preventing that from being a huge momentum shift. But then again, he had the Elixir for his defensive side of the board.
And once again, an Ice Wizard picking up the Miner, stopping all damage. But now the Giants, ooh, I was going to say you're going to get a couple swings in, but that is a great late Tombstone. Geo's got to feel like he's kind of bashing his head against the wall at this moment, really having a hard time breaking through.
The Poison there, I guess a little predictive, trying to take the Giant and its support away. But now the Miner, again, picked up by that Ice Wizard.
It's almost like he sees where the Ice Wizard is and then sends it into it, which is not the idea here. Sometimes you do want to pick off the ranged troop with your Miner, but however, in a game this close, you need the damage.
Yeah, and remember, we are in a lowest tower situation here. So CMQ has to be careful not to just play too much defense, because he needs to put damage on his opponent's tower as well.
Yes, and one Poison is not going to be enough if this game does get even.
Well, not only, remember, Andrew, not only do they both have Poison, but Geo's running triple spell.
Yes.
So he has the ability to add a little burst damage at the last second and steal this thing if they are very close as we wind down.
Yeah, it could be just very smart deck building there with the Miner and the triple spells, seeing that that's the best way to just all of a sudden put down over 300 damage.
Suddenly we're in a situation where it looks like Geo is in a really, really good spot. Of course, he has to defend against these Graveyard pushes, and there's the Poison. But again, with the Poison Graveyard coming down in offense, CMQ now putting himself in a very fantastic, way
Gio
more
needs
damage.
to respond. Oh, I was going to say he needs to respond to that Mega Minion or else he's going to lose this game.
There was a lot more damage done on that tower than I think either of us expected, Andrew.
Absolutely, and I'm sure Gio is one of the people as well that did not expect that much damage to come through.
But that miner not getting dealt with, so a bunch of swings going on. You know, I mean, taking a few hundred off that tower, this is getting very, very close.
And this is, yes, it's insanely close. Both of these guys now realizing that the draw is probably not in, the lowest tower is probably not the way it's going to go. Maybe we got 20 seconds left. Got to take a tower.
And the miner, and so
NATO.
forced to use that tornado. But now again, we are in a spell situation. Remember, Gio has 2 of the small spells, only 1 left on their side. So who is going to take this? We are so close. Log comes down to 56. Does CMQ have a quick spell? He does.
Gio's got it.
And that's it for Gio. And that's what we talked about, Andrew. Gio had 2 small spells rather than 1, and it was just enough to make that difference.
And at the beginning of that interaction, it did look like CMQ, obviously he did have just like 100 less HP. Right here, you see it's 53 HP difference, and that is the difference in the game. The miner comes in, gets 1 hit, pulled to the tower. Now we're at a 10, 11 HP difference, and the poison, the log, the zap, and that's all she wrote. Gio bringing it home in his first 1v1 set for Counter Logic Gaming.
Wow, that was an unbelievable moment. There we go to the 4th game of 1v1 where we get to a lowest tower situation. And you gotta wonder there about the pressure being put on. We said like CMQ really seems content defending here, but in the end, the aggression of Gio pays off, taking this thing, and 13-1 no longer on the board for Cloud9.
Not at all, and now they don't have to say that it was only because of our week 1 getting our feet wet here at CRL. That's why we lost. Now CLG having something to say about that, fighting for those top spots after a rough start, and Cloud9 still in 2nd place, but also with their 2nd loss.
A big spot they were in, the chance to take that to take ownership, or at least partial ownership, of the #1 spot on the leaderboard. But more importantly, now you have CLG. They were in a position where they could have dropped way down and been in a tough spot going in the second half of the season. But now they are right in the mix with so many teams fighting for those 3 and 4 spots, and standing by with Christy St. John as the man who just pulled out the, as we say it a lot here, the photo finish victory. It's the Italian Gio.
Thanks, guys. Gio, how does it feel taking down not only CMQ, but a very confident Cloud9?
I'm really proud of my performance. Cloud9 is definitely one of the best teams in this league. The 2v2 backstabbing skills clutch it up, 2-1. We prepared a lot. We just needed that communication in 2v2, and we got it. And then in the 1v1, I was struggling a little bit. I had a hard counter in the first match, and I lost. And I knew what mistakes I made, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna make it again. I played it again, and I won. And then we tied the match versus Expo versus Giant. I should have been a bit more aggressive with my logs and zaps, because I zapped a lot the Expos. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think I should have won that match, but you know.
Yeah, it was close. And then finally, take me through the roller coaster that was Game 4. Did you think you were going to win? Did you think you were going to lose?
So I knew that his Graveyard pretty much does a lot of damage, especially because if I poison it, then he poisons my tower, and he has a really good defense versus my Giant. So in that matchup, you gotta just get a lot of value with the Hunter, pressure at the bridge. Don't let him never Ice Golem Graveyard, because that's gonna be your tower. And that's what I did. I kept the pressure, went with the miners in the tower, and got as much damage as possible.
Congrats, good game.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Thanks, Christy. And there we go, a lowest tower situation coming into our 1v1 set. One of those rare opportunities, and the drama still nonetheless in this moment. And while there's not any movement in the standings, Andrew, some very important shifts for both these teams.
Absolutely. Cloud9 now even farther away from complexity, but still in a strong place in second. And then you got CLG now in a 3-way tie for 4th place, jumping out of 6th. They have got to be elated about the play of their 3 players today.
2 very close matches today, and why wouldn't you want to watch more? So go ahead, hit that subscribe button on the Clash Royale Esports YouTube page, and don't forget to ring that bell so you get notifications. Of course, there is esports.clashroyale.com, and slide over to the Esports tab in your Clash Royale app. We will be back here with more North American action on Saturday, September 22nd at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. For Andrew Guy, I'm Rich Slayton. We'll see you this weekend back in the arena.
Bye.
Ah, my dear subjects, another glorious day in the Clash Royale League is in the books. And boy, are things getting interesting. We're seeing true craftsmanship and true expertise. Vulcan, Oxalate, C. McHugh, skills. I mean, these guys are good. While some have fallen in the standings, others have surged towards eventual glory. Only one can represent North America at the World Finals. But who will it be? We've still got a long way to go to find out. This is the reason why you must subscribe to the Clash Royale Esports channel. And remember, what happens in the Goblin Hut stays in the Goblin Hut.